Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Khalil Doheny. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager at Digital Niche Agency. Today, I have the team of Cuentacuentos. Reed, do you want to kind of introduce yourself and the team we have here today?
Sure. My name is Reed Spear. Well, first of all, thanks everyone for being here. Um, is, there, is there a way to have a look at the audience, Khalil, or not?
They're all in the they're all sitting in
Great.
there.
Okay. So nonetheless, thanks for being here. My name is Reed Spear. I'm the founder and owner of Cuentacuentos. I'm joined here today by Chris Stevens in the New York baseball hat. He's currently sitting in Dulles Airport and has been in Maryland and DC area promoting Cuentacuentos. And then we have Stephen Adelkoff here, who is a great friend of mine and is acting as one of our directors and in-house counsel for the company.
Awesome. Well, as people come on in, we want to, kind of just explain a little bit of what the webinar is about today. This webinar is for you, the audience. It's for those who are currently thinking about investing or just want to learn more. We're going to do a verbal presentation here, and then we'll have some room at the end for some Q&A. Reed, I'm going to give you the mic, and take the floor, and let's get this started.
Great. Appreciate the introduction, Khalil. I think I want to start just by going over what is Mezcal, because I think for a lot of people, they've heard of it. Maybe they had some Mezcal in their teenage years and they don't understand why people are interested in it now and kind of what's behind the growth of the category. And so most people will have heard of tequila, but most people don't know that tequila is a subtype of mezcal. The original name of the product was Mezcal de Tequila, mezcal from the town of Tequila. And in an effort to standardize that product in order to appeal to American audiences back when tequila was introduced, a certifying agency stepped in, the CRT, or Consejo Regulador de Tequila. They said, look, we're going to stop roasting this stuff underground. We're going to use steam to eliminate the smoky flavor. We're going to not use just any agave that we want. We're going to use the agave tequilana, also known as the Blue Weber. And then shortly thereafter, some of the bigger players discovered that Americans had a taste for brown liquors. And so they introduced the Reposada and then Añejo, which were actually initially caramel colorings added to the product, and then only later became actually aged in the wood. So in distinction to that, mezcal is running in the other direction. Mezcal has been made for over 400 years. It's the oldest spirit in the Americas. It doesn't have these restrictions that tequila has on it. So you can pick up a bottle that's made from any of around, say about 40 different kinds of agave as a source sugar. The method of production hasn't been industrialized, so it's all still artisanal. It's made by hand in small batches by families who have learned the process from their fathers, their grandfathers, their grandparents, and now you see even a lot of women coming into the industry and placing their names on the bottles as the mezcaleras. So a lot of cool things are happening in mezcal. The general gist of it, the way I like to explain it to people, is if you've been drinking tequila your whole life, you start to get into the category of mezcal. It's like you've had blinders on, you've only been able to see the color green, and now we remove them and you can see the whole spectrum of the rainbow. So you can drink now from the reds and the oranges and the purples and the blues and the yellows, and it's not all just agave Blue Weber. And so that, plus the combination of the story of the family, how they make it, what they do differently, all of that goes a long way towards drawing in aficionados. It is the reason why people come back to the same producer, or why they come back to the same region with a different producer, or the same producer with different agaves. They want to know, what's unique about this lot, this batch that I'm drinking. If it's something they get excited about, they'll bring it in, they tell their friends. And so what we're doing with our project is to try to preserve or promote really that characteristic of mezcal. What we're trying to avoid is seeing it head in the direction of tequila, right? So a typical brand will come in and say, all right, here's some people who know how to make mezcal. We like their product. We're going to offer maybe 5 expressions. Maybe we'll do an espadín, a tobola, a quiche, maybe an ensemble of some sort, and then maybe, I don't know, pick something, a pechuga, something like that. 5 different expressions. They'll always be the same. In my mind, this is an improvement over, but not essentially different from tequila. What I would like to see happen, and what I've been doing for the past 7 years, is having, yes, I have a core set of expressions that I will always have on the market that bring people who want to have a reliable go-to back to the brand, but also to cycle through new novel expressions and to reach out to the families that have been doing this for generations, ask them what they need in order to get their product to market, what they need in order to expand. Then we loan them money to help them with the expansion. We get paid back in mezcal. We promote the family name. We promote the family products. And in this way, we're not funneling the product towards an industrial method of presentation and production. You'll even note that on our labels, we handwrite a lot of the data. For example, the alcohol by volume information is handwritten. This is because we don't prescribe what we want because we've printed 50,000 labels. We say, no, you do your thing. You make it to taste as you always have. Then we'll test it. Then we'll write the ABV. And so that's the concept that we're dealing with here. Is we want to support the little guy who's been making this for 400 years. And we believe that in doing so, we have something that's unique in the market. We have a very sticky product for the aficionado, and we are doing something that is always giving us something to talk about, something new to present. We have some new one-off expression from some family or some region over here, or we've got something new over here, or maybe it's a twist on an old standard. So that's what we're doing. Excuse me. Now, in addition to those products, which we call our legacy line, we have a product called El Barro. And that product is designed to somewhat model the tequila model. So in other words, because that product is aimed at the well market or the cocktail market, we have to have a product that is reliably the same, or very much enough similar that a bartender or a bar or a restaurant group can rely on the product to build recipes around. And so we've done this as a way to give heartburn to the people who are already in this category. And what do I mean by that? Well, in order to get the product from Oaxaca to the US, you have to go through our 100-year-old 3-tier system. And I'll come back to that in a second. But at any rate, it goes from the producer to an importer to a distributor to a retailer or a bar or a restaurant. So that's a lot of markup. And the way that a lot of brands have gotten their way around that and kept their ABV, kept their costs down, is to lower the ABV. And so you see lots of cocktail mezcals coming in at 38 to 42 ABV. Now, here's what we're doing differently. I work with a buddy of mine called Carlos Mendes. He's a terrific guy, and I met him very early into the project. He makes white label mezcals for a lot of brands you've probably heard of. As a result, he has quite a bit of what we call ordinario or shishe. Now, mezcal is a 2 distillation process. The first time it's distilled, it's called shishe or ordinario. The second time it's distilled, it's called mezcal. Because he has such a high volume going through his operation, whenever we want to finish a product, we grab some of the first run, we finish it in clay stills in very small batches, and we push the ABV up to 46. Because of our operation and our physical layout, our ability to create efficiencies, and literally the way people move around the distillery and in the way this product is produced, we're able to bring to market a 46 ABV cocktail product that is finished in clay and set next to our competition. There really isn't much they can do. Chris, what would you say our acceptance rate is when we present the El Barro product against a typical cocktail mezcal?
Probably about 95% success.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. And so the other cool thing about El Barro is that it's sold in 30-liter batches. So not only do we blow the competition out of the water on features and benefits, but now the buyer, the restaurant or the bar, has 30 liters to work with to get used to the product, to get familiar with the Cuentacuentos ecosystem. And because it is a low-cost product, they're very willing to bring in some of the legacy product to put on the back bar. So these are the more expensive pours that will, go for about 10 to is anywhere up to $30 a pour for a single 1 ounce shot. And so we get them coming and going, is the way I like to say it. We have them on the cocktail, we have them on the aficionado end of things. What else can I say about that? Anything to add there, Chris?
Just that it's a brilliant program. It engages the customers, which are most important. Most on-premise accounts are seeking, like you said, higher alcohol mezcals for their well, because you can stir cocktails with higher alcohol. It shows much better, which a 40% ABV mezcal cannot. Everyone buys into a custom batch, which they are indeed custom batches. 30 liters is not a big commitment. That's 5 6-pack cases. And it has a strip label with the account name. And this has met amazing success across the nation thus far. So it's providing, hitting a lot of levels. And we are just now generating custom batches for retail accounts as well. And within that program, which we're still dialing with Reed, some of these larger retailers are going to have an option to have much larger batches, but have some say in what goes into that batch. Say they want to let a tepestate added. We're going to accomplish that, and that's going to yield significant sales through very significant retailers, which is going to help the brand obviously overall.
Yeah, so just a reminder who Chris is and what he's done in the past. Chris is with our contracted promotional arm, Craft Distillers. These are the crew who built and sold Hangar One Vodka, who built and sold Jermaine Robin Brandy, who built Alipus Mezcal, Las Perlas Raicilla. I'm probably missing a whole stack of them, but when Chris says that something's going extremely well, it's coming from a very long history. So I do see some questions starting to come in. So I kind of want to start ticking those off as we go, because they're kind of touching on what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
One of the things that is separating us from our competition is that we have spent a tremendous amount of time examining and organizing our process. I have an outstanding programmer who's been working with me for well over a year now, and is intimate with the mezcal production facility. And so we are able to hit efficiencies that other people aren't. I don't want to talk too much about it because there are trade secret elements to it, but there's a greater push in the craft distillery segment in the United States to start to overcome the 3-tier limitations. And so what I mean by that is in about 16 states, distillers are now able to set up their own restaurant, their own tasting room, or even in some states for collectible items. These are bottles that are 2 years or older, able to sell directly to consumers. Now, we have an extremely efficient network of people that are in our supply chain. And so what you're going to be able to do with Cuentacuentos here, what you can do right now actually, is put a deposit down through the proper channels. We're not circumventing the 3-tier system. We're just using it efficiently. Put down money for your own custom batch from any of the families that we work with. This shortens our receivables time, and it allows the buyer to have something unique in the world. We can do this at such an early stage in the process that it can come to them labeled and ready with their name on it. The other thing that we're doing that I think is we're doing better than our competition is that, and this is something that developed over the pandemic, our reputation in the mezcal community is now such that we have families coming to us wanting to be part of the program. We have more producers now than we are able to sell product. So to answer one of the questions that's up right now, what is the company's biggest challenge and how will we overcome that? Right now, sales is our bottleneck. And so one of the things that we're doing the raise for is to get more people like myself and Chris out on the street to help tell the story, present the product, and hit more, well, to duplicate ourselves. When I go to Texas, for example, I've been to Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio. When I'm there presenting the product, I sell 100% of the time. I've never heard no from anyone in Texas. And I think Chris will back me up. This is normal for me. So I didn't know it, but this is apparently quite unheard of in the industry. So I am going to bring in some people that I've got handpicked in order to help duplicate me in my efforts around the country. So that's how we're going to overcome that, which we now see as our biggest hurdle.
You talked a little bit about the raise. Why did you decide to go the crowdfunding route and not through a VC?
Sure. We had the option. You know, I did a little M&A work in my previous career in cannabis, and so I know. And I mean, I got licenses. I procured licenses for, or helped to procure licenses for a lot of people, a lot of people with a lot of money. But my idea was this. The character of the company right now is to support and promote the little guy in Oaxaca. And I think the company is going to be successful. I feel very good about where we are so far. I've got great feedback. Why do I want to go to someone who's already got $10, $15 million in the bank account when I can go to someone who's got 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 50,000 that they want to spend on an early stage company and give them the opportunity to grow with us? So for me, it just is a good reflection of what we're already doing with the company. And so I wanted it to be a more thoroughgoing aspect to what it is that I'm doing. I want to champion the little guy. In cannabis, when I started in 2008, you would see people paying off mortgages, buying cars, paying down credit card debt, going out to eat sushi. And then as states began adding programs and politicians did not want to fail, they began to set barriers of entry. And by the time I left, you know, I was advising people that if you don't have $5 million for a dispensary, $15 million for a cultivation operation coming into this, you're not going to look great in the eyes of the evaluators. And that happened to cannabis under my watch. And I would like to see mezcal continue to support and lift as many, the rising tide lifts all boats. I want to see as many boats as I can lifted.
Awesome. Let's see what else. Do you currently work with or plan on working with producers outside of Oaxaca?
We have we've had 4 expressions come in through the state of Guerrero, all outstanding variations on agave cupreata. And in addition to that, we have a rum product from the Sierra Mije. Well, that's in Oaxaca, but it speaks to the topic of diversification. So the short answer is yes. We are starting to look into Puebla, and we intend to continue to develop our network in Guerrero, because we're all really big fans of agave cupreata, and that's their primary plant there. In addition to that, we happened across a rum from a very insular and closed off community known as the Mije in the mountains of Oaxaca. And that happened just more or less accidentally in 2019 on Labor Day in Mexico, which is run a little bit different than we do in the States. And in Mexico, employees show up and the boss brings food and drink and music, and everyone has a party. And about midday, those who are still standing go home, and the other ones just sleep it off until the next day. At any rate, I got chatting with a guy who had commuted down from the Mije. We're talking about 4-hour commute. And so I got chatting with him about why he wasn't just working up in that region. He said, well, he wanted to be in mezcal. And I said, well, you're not making mezcal there. And he said, no, we make rum. And so I said, can you bring me some samples? And then, it took 2 years really, just to gain entree into the community. I mean, look, when you pull up to this place, there's a sign that says, if you're not from here, this is a good opportunity to turn around and leave. And they had been selling it as hand sanitizer, which was horrifying to me because stuff's absolutely delicious. And I personally am shocked at how well it's been received. I mean, we'll go to markets, Chris and I, to sell mezcal. We'll end up selling more rum than mezcal sometimes. So I want to see what else we got here in the questions.
Reed, I saw a question about selling outside of the United States. I'm not sure there's a hell of a lot we could say about that, but you may want to say a few words.
Yeah, no, I think we can. Already we're in Australia. We have procured a consultant who is hard at work finding us distribution in Japan. And I just got in touch with an outfit in the Netherlands. I'm talking to some gentlemen who are setting up, some industry veterans who are setting up a new distributorship in France and Spain. So that's something that we're working hard on as well. This goes to the question of growth. I think that someone asked me recently, where we in 2021 we sold whatever it was, $250,000 worth of product into a pretty lousy environment, really. We did that in 9 states without really much promotional effort, and so we think that to quadruple that in the U.S. alone is not going to be very much trouble at all. It just should happen organically just by adding more states. And of course, I think there's a lot more room for that in the U.S., obviously with the Albaro product, but also with the legacy product, because as I said, you're looking at Chris and I, we are the sales force right now. And so one of our key expenditures for the raise is going to be to hire more people and get out there and talk to more people.
And I was just going to add to that, and this helps to answer, do we have any distributors? Yes. My company's been selling craft spirits for over 40 years. We have a distributor network throughout all 50 states, and that's exactly where Cuentacuentos is growing currently. And that is ultimately who we rely on across the board to sell our products. Obviously, Reed and I can get into markets and sell very successfully, as he's mentioned. But that's pretty much it. We build champions in each market, and then products such as these take care of themselves, which is exactly what we've been doing for 40 years and why we decided to partner with Cuentacuentos.
Thank you.
What would you say the problem is in the industry that you guys are trying to solve?
Well, we're trying to prevent, as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to prevent the tequilafication of mezcal. And the reason why we want to do that is because we think mezcal is a fantastic cultural heritage that's much more profound than just an alcoholic beverage. Look, when you go to Mexico, and this is why I'm in this. I knew I wanted to get involved in small business development in Latin America back in 2012, 2013, when I conceived of this project. The thing that is great about mezcal is it's there from literally the moment that you're conceived as a human being till well after you're gone and in the grave. So, you know, your parents conceive you, there's a party on the news, mezcal is served. You're born, mezcal is served. You have your baptism, your communion, mezcal is served. You have a birthday, a quinceañera, a wedding, so on and so forth. It's there. It's this beautiful lens to see how Mexican culture is so tied to family. And, you know, and then of course, Dia de Muertos is this beautiful holiday that follows our Halloween. And the point of that holiday is to support and celebrate the memory of the person who's gone. And the way that's done is by sitting around graves decorated with the cempasúchil, the beautiful marigolds, and pouring mezcal and talking and eating. And so it's there even after you've gone. And it's a profound thing. Look, it was the secrets of distillation were stolen from Europeans. And despite Spain's efforts to move distillation onto the hacienda system, they failed because of the cunning and the really the courage of the Mexican people. So it runs much deeper for everyone on this screen. It runs much deeper than just being a spirit. And so we don't want to see it become commodified the way that tequila has become. Obviously, this is about money. The families who are producing this are in this to make money. They want to make money. They're with the mezcal boom, they're buying vehicles, they're putting kids through college, they're putting floors down, they're putting new roofs on, they're expanding operations. That's all fantastic. But to each one of them wants the product to be consumed with respect. And that means not, in my mind, that means not expanding into autoclaves, expanding into deshebradoras and machines that are meant to take over human labor. We win when we employ more people, right? So tequila wins when it eliminates people. And so that's what we're doing. And people want that and will pay for it. And that's what's great about mezcal.
This is a great question. Can you talk about sustainability efforts with the producers you currently work with and plan on working with? Is sustainability more value of Cuentacuentos given the limited supply of agave and long lead with agave maturity?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. And it's a super complex topic. In fact, on my blog on the website, I've written a number of articles on the various aspects that would be key to the sustainability question. They are, as you mentioned, agave supply and wild harvesting, the use of wood and the wood-fired underground ovens, the use of also in firing the stills, and then what do we do with the vinazas? That's the byproduct of distillation that aren't consumable. And so here's what's happening. So what I've witnessed firsthand since I started visiting Oaxaca in 2006 is that the number of agaves being grown in the ground, people farming them, has increased dramatically. This introduces its own new problem, of course, because without guidance, people will go, they'll denude a hillside and they'll end up with a soil erosion problem. This doesn't have to happen. You can, and people are growing agaves in with the existing vegetation. For the wild crafted agaves, the land managers, so it's a system called the ejidos, and the people who run the land. It's a community system that allows for management of the land that came in after the Mexican Revolution, right? So land was given back to the people, away from the hacienda, back to the people. And the deal was, we're going to call you an ejido, and you can manage this land the way you want. And so if someone wants to use the land in Oaxaca, they've done a cargo of a year's service for their community. They're an ejidatario. They've asked for permission. And what you see is now that the ejidos are requiring a replacement program for anyone who wants to do and is granted the privilege of doing wild crafting. That said, the vast majority of the people that I am working with are buying from farms. And this is great because agaves are a tremendous carbon sink. This is the next article that I intend to write, agaves and carbon sequestration. Yes, they get harvested, but during the time that they're alive, they're tremendous carbon sink, and the volume of agaves in the ground continues to grow. So the agave problem, I don't believe is anything that we need to worry about. You hear frequently, if you're a tequila aficionado, about agave shortages. Well, that's blue Weber agave. And they've got a monocropping problem. They've got the genetic problems. They've got things that simply don't exist with mezcal. The people who are growing understand that you need to let a good 10% of these plants go to flower in order to cross-pollinate and provide genetic diversity and so on and so forth. But the Mexican people are quite capable and do not want to lose this industry, so they're on top of the agave problem. Now, wood harvesting. Here's another great thing you can check out. This is new to me. A lot of the forest conservancy organizations that operate globally were founded in Oaxaca, and they were because those forests are also community managed. And if you look at a map of forest over time in Oaxaca, you'll see that their forests are growing. Now, mezcal is growing too, and I believe it's outpacing probably what is happening with forest planting. And so one way to get around a lot of this problem with using wood is to not use wood for distillation. You want to use it for roasting because that imparts caramel flavors and its characteristic flavor. So there's not much you can do about that, except make sure that you do it efficiently, and you've got a good cover on your oven in order to make good use of the heat. But you don't have to use wood in order to fire stills. And so replacing wood-fired stills with gas-fired stills is something you see a lot more of. Our El Barro product, for example, is made this way. And then on the vinazas question, there's two byproducts that don't get used. One is the vinazas, that's the liquid portion of the distillate that doesn't get used. And then there's the bagasso, which is the fiber that doesn't get used. And some very clever people, some engineers, created a system for making bricks using a combination of the bagasso, dirt, and vinasa. And so brick production has shot way up, and now the industry is able to not only provide itself with its own building materials, but also surrounding communities with free building materials. The bricks have been tested. They are certified by government organizations. They don't emit toxic fumes or anything of the sort. They're quite useful and they're quite attractive. And so I appreciate the question because our consumer is highly, highly concerned with sustainability. But I see the entire mezcal industry as an extension of the reason why Whole Foods has succeeded the way it has. You know, we want to give people a connection to the family that's making this product. We want to provide perfect transparency as we strive to do on our label. And we want to assure our consumer that the product is being created sustainably. And I'll just finish that, which I know it's a long answer, but Mezcal has been sustainable for 400 years, and we want to make sure that it continues to be sustainable.
So I saw two questions around kind of the same topic. I'll just add it to be one question. In your own words, what are the top reasons to invest in Cuentacuentos?
Sure. Mezcal is booming. You want to be part of that. All you have to do is pay attention to your local liquor store or bar shelf. You'll see tequila shrinks as mezcal grows. It's inevitable. The second reason is that you believe that mezcal is heritage worth preserving. I do. You want to have a variety. You don't want to see this narrowed down to 2 dozen or 3 dozen brands. You want to have 100 different makers. In a pueblo, you want to have. There's something like 4 years ago, I saw the number. There were 13,000 producers in Oaxaca. I hope today there's 26,000. We want this. We want the variety, and my brand supports that variety. And then the other reason is you love mezcal yourself. You want to be part of something that is meaningful. For me, that's what drives me. That's what keeps me around this. I get to help people who would not otherwise have a reason to come to market. And so, for me, that's been incredibly rewarding. When you're buying a bottle of Cuentacuentos, you are helping directly somebody who does not have the privilege of walking into a bar and ordering up, a $20 cocktail. Let's face it. You're putting kids through college. You're paying for weddings. You're paying for christenings. You're doing good.
And is there an exit strategy?
Yeah, this is a great topic. I answered this recently on someone posted a comment, look, in alcohol, let's not beat around the bush. We're going to get this to a point where we can't take it any further, and I hope we get there. I believe we will get there. I'm building this brand in such a manner that I believe that the platform and its mission is inseparable from the product. So if I get to pass the baton to someone else in a buyout situation, I will do so with the confidence that they're going to continue to do what it is that we're doing, which is champion the little guys. And so that's one possibility. Another possibility is, at some point we've gotten to the size where, we want to buy your shares back from you. Stephen here has got much more experience in M&A stuff. And so maybe I'll tee the second part of that question up to Stephen.
I'm happy to address it. Let me first say thank you everybody for joining. We are on Start Engine. I'm doing a capital raise, and the rules are real clear to go to Start Engine to hear what we're doing, to see what we're doing. There's limited things we can say in this forum because of that. And thank you. I see someone's put out there the Khalil. Thank you. That's exactly right. Reed, let me just address a couple of things. A great question. Why invest? And look, you can read my biography as an equity partner at K&L Gates for 14 years, and then an associate for another 6 or so. Now I'm an investor. I am a lawyer, but I'm primarily an investor, an entrepreneur. I look for people when investing. I think the great investors invest in people. I'm very biased. Reed is a dear person to me. He's a dear friend. And I think he's a fantastic entrepreneur. That's why I invested. I think that's the best reason to invest. Hopefully that stays within the rails and doesn't go out of the rails. Exit strategy. No one can guarantee what the exit strategy is and what's going on, but it's not a secret that in this industry, bigger guys tend to swallow smaller guys and take them to heightened places. And as Reed points out, that's primarily a function of a need for capital. And the cheaper the capital and the greater the supply, the easier it is to make the product and get it to market. And this business isn't all that complicated in what it comes down to in its fundamental form: making a good product and selling a good product. You need you need capital to do that. So certainly that's a possibility. First things first, I don't think, I don't want to put words in Reed's mouth, but my observation is when he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't think what's the exit strategy. When he wakes up in the morning, he thinks, how am I going to make a fantastic product and get it to market? And I like that focus. That's if he didn't have that focus, we'd have to beat him a little bit. So there it is.
Awesome.
Appreciate that, Steve. Yep. So that's it. Right now, we're growing, and that's what we're focused on doing.
Cool. And as we get close here to the end, do have another question here from Jason. Is having a sustainability program / process in place a requirement for producers you work with?
Listen, here's what's going on. I'm dealing with people who some of them don't have floors in their houses. Okay, so sustainability is not high on their list. That isn't to say that what they're doing isn't sustainable, but that is something that tends to come a little bit later. So, they're buying products, they're buying agaves from farms. When they're small, it's not a huge issue. You have bagasso, you have vinasas, and in small amounts, they have never been a problem. It's only when they're in large amounts that they become a problem. Vinasa is a problem because it is low pH and is oxygen hungry. Bagasso is a problem because it stacks up. The combination of the two, what has been done for 400 years is use one to ferment and compost the other, and you spread it on the fields. That works for quite a long time. Now you have another family that I'm working with that are much further along, and they're highly concerned with sustainability. And so, we take this as it comes. We need to get people launched and on their feet. And then as we do that, as the volume comes along, then we say, look, this has to be part of the program. And, I just brought on a great father, 2 sons family out in Mitla. They're just doing a tapata right now, meaning the roast of an agave lioba. That is, these people are just spectacular. Brand new palenque, tiny, about the size of most people's kitchen. They already have a vinasas tank. That's where their heads are right from the outset. So it depends on who you're dealing with. We're all going to get there, and we're going to get there in time before it becomes a problem. So thanks for the question.
Awesome.
How many maestros are we working with? Let's see. Do I want to count maestros, or do I want to count families? This question always comes to me. So take the Cruz family out in El Lazo. We've got 3 living maestros: grandfather, son, grandson, and the grandson's son is now learning. We'll call him a half, maybe. And then we've got Everardo, who just passed. He always worked with his uncle. His widow's now getting into it. So what are we up to now? 6.5. We've got the 3 I just mentioned also in Mitla. There's 9. We've got a husband and wife team out in Zocatlan. There's 11. I've got the Mendez Blas family. I don't know how many. It's a family operation. Got the Garcias in San Dionisio Cotepec, another Garcia, San Dionisio Cotepec. The first Garcia family, father, son, but Seraphine's got 3 daughters. They went in the business, so we're putting clays in for them. They're each going to run 2 clays. So I've lost count. It's a lot, and we keep growing. Look, we've built 3 palenques in the last 24 months, and we're adding as many people as we can, and we're trying to do it in such a manner that people are deriving good benefit from the money that they're making, and we're not spreading ourselves too thin. On the other hand, we're seeing, like with the Cruz family, their own domestic brand is growing quite nicely, and we kind of expect to see them pop out the other end on their own, which would be great. We consider that a tremendous success, and that's what we're aiming to do here. We have a lot of people that we're working with. Oh, I miss the Santos family and Miwatlan. Laurentino's given up half of his production to use a community palenque, so we're building him a palenque so he can keep his entire production. So, that kind of goes to the question about, the development and the sustainability and how many people we're working with. This is a great project. We're proud of the work we're doing. And the more people that help us out on Start Engine, the more this we can do.
And then do you have any? Yeah, go for it.
I see that. Yeah. We do. We have our hands full with mezcal right now, but we left the denomination of origin. So we're technically what we're doing is we're selling agave distillate. I like that because the CRM was slowing us down. I'd have pallets of products sitting on the dock for 2 weeks waiting for those guys to come in and certify them to ship, and I just couldn't brook them standing between everyone and their paychecks. So we left them. Not only that, the methodologies that they wanted to force everyone into, one of 3 categories, and that doesn't work. There's as many different methods for making mezcal as there are people making it. And so, yeah, we're interested in other plant species. We're interested in other regions. We want to see Ricea. We're even looking at it, and I don't know if you have to edit this out or not, but we're looking at tequila. I get a little bit nervous talking about the forward-looking information, as the attorneys call it. But
let's just refrain from talking about the forward-looking statement. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Awesome. I have one last question. What is the best way to drink Cuentacuentos?
In my opinion, the traditional manner, with friends, number 1, most important. Number 2, neat, room temperature. But any way you want to drink it is fine with me, including cocktails. The best description of a cocktail I heard came from a friend of mine who described it as an elegant profanity.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up on my end. I don't see any further questions. Do have one question actually from Jason. If you had to choose, what is your favorite mezcal?
I like Karwinski's. I'm not gonna mince words. They're my favorite, hands down. Awesome. So I'm a Karwinski head, and I want to get my hands on as many of them as I can. I absolutely love them.
Well, thank you, Reed, and thank you, Chris. Thank you, Steve, for joining today's webinar, and thank you to the audience who all attended virtually. If you weren't able to attend today's webinar, don't worry. This has been recorded, and we will be posting a whole recap video on it on the Start Engine page. So be on the lookout for that recording. Thank you again. Is there any final remarks you'd like to leave us off here today?
Yes, just thank you everyone for your time and attention today. I'm absolutely flattered that you would want to hear what I have to say and that you have an interest in my company. So whether you decide to invest or not, thank you so much for your attention, and go say good things about Cuentacuentos. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
A pleasure, everybody.
Have a good one. Bye.